Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode. Oops, I almost sung my Q Stay at Q song. Okay, let me try this again. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of My Fiber Fun. One of these days, I will sing the Q Stay at Q song. That's for my other channel. Anyway, I know, here I am again. Let's just call this the Joann week, okay? Because normally, like I keep saying, Sunday is going to be my film day. But now, because y'all want to hear stories, I'll probably do 2 film days. So we'll look at probably Wednesday and Sunday, or Monday and Wednesday. We'll figure out something, or I will figure out something, and then I'll let you know. I'm actually on this film right here, and this is going to go a little bit, probably about 30 minutes or less, hopefully, because y'all know me. I'm going to try to stay on target and not be all over the place today. But I came on to share this information, and I'm going to be sharing a pre-story because someone requested, wait, where's my pre-story prop? What did I do with it? Oh, okay, I see it. Someone requested, when you all overwhelmingly said, oh, share the stories. Okay, I will. And there's going to be a lot. But anyway, the first one that was requested was about my near-death experience. But there's a pre-story to that. I cannot tell what happened at that time. I guess I could, but you would have like a million questions as to what led up to this and all that stuff. So basically, I'm going to tell on today, during this film, I'm going to tell the pre-story. And then it'll catch you up so that when I tell the story on Sunday, during Sunday's episode, then you will already know the pre-story and we can, just move on from there. And it shortens the video because otherwise that would be like an hour-long video. Okay, but before we get to the pre-story, let's get to what happened today. Y'all, I woke up, actually I was up until 8 this morning, and I woke up at 12:45 p.m. And the reason why I didn't get to sleep until 8 o'clock this morning was because I took a nap yesterday. Remember, I had only had 3 hours sleep the night before, and then I took a nap after I did that film on yesterday. So if I haven't answered everyone's responses, I'll be getting to you. But anyway, I ended up being up. I couldn't sleep last night. So it was 8 o'clock this morning and daylight before I got to sleep. And then I woke up. I set my alarm for 1 o'clock, but I actually woke up at about 12:45. And the first thing I did when I woke up, I was like, let me go to the Joann's app and see if they changed over. Y'all, that's why I'm on here. They changed over overnight. First of all, the app showed that nothing was in stock, and I knew that was a lie. So I said, okay, what's happening here? I know. And then it said, it said all sales final, of course. But they extended that coupon for 1 day. If you spend $35, $50, or $75, they extended that for 1 day, today only. And so I said, now I got to be nosy. Today's trip was just to be nosy and to get an idea of what was happening there, because I was already told by one of the associates that they were going to be shipping a lot of items out, and they have. I'll let you know. I'll confirm that at the White Lake. It's not empty. It's nothing like the liquidation store. And I'm gonna tell you, hold on, I'm getting my back scratcher because my back is itching like right in the middle. Hold on, y'all. Gotta get this. Woo! Woo! Okay. And I swore I wasn't gonna be all over the place, but that couldn't wait. That back itch, y'all know. Okay, but anyway. Okay, so as soon as I stepped in that store, first of all, the staff was not as heavy. I saw, it was 2 people, 2 cashiers. Okay, and then at the fabric department, I glanced over there. It was just 1 fabric department person, and the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact, there was at least, I saw 3. And then you had your floor walkers, your floor associates. I saw no floor associates today. All I saw was the one fabric worker and the 2 at the register, a total of 3 employees. And the store was packed. Now, one thing I can say is nothing like the liquidation stores, although I know it is one. But I don't know if they're trying to stick it to the man or if the great American buyers are being nicer. But every sale price that was there that I saw for the yesterday and the day before, they are still there, and some prices have been slashed even more on different items that weren't on sale. So all that's still the same. And then everything else in the store is pretty much 20% off, between 20 and 25% off. Most of the stuff, I would say, is at least 25% off and not 20. It's a few things. The newer stuff is like 20% off. All the older stuff is 25. But they've gotten rid of a lot, and people are buying a lot. But what I noticed in this store, now yesterday I noticed the panic buying. Today people were just doing shopping as if it was any ordinary day. But people were being very specific, just like myself. And I hobnobbed yesterday with people, and today I really hobnobbed because it was people everywhere. So I just took the time to talk to people. Some people approached me, and this one lady, she was in the fabric drawer. I mean, not the fabric drawer, the pattern drawer. It was like this big drawer there, and she was going through every pattern. That's all she was putting in her basket was patterns, and there were plenty in there. Then one lady, she had a lot of gift cards and coupons, and those will expire tomorrow. So today is tomorrow is the last day you can use any gift card or coupon. That is of the 300 stores that were slated to stay open but are now closing. Now the liquidation store, I don't know what they're doing, but at the 300, I'm gonna call them the Joann 300 or the liquidation 300, those coupons will expire tomorrow. And then on top of that, all sales are now final, and a lot of the stuff is being moved out the store. I noticed boxes. So it wasn't as pristine as it was for the past 2 days. You could tell they're tearing it down, y'all. They're tearing it down. So if you live by White Lake, or if you want to get there, I would say get there by the weekend. I would say that. They're getting that stuff out. They're clearing that store. It didn't look bad. It was still clean and everything, but I noticed the shift. The shift has occurred. So what I did, I said, okay, I'm here. Because when I was pulling stuff up online, it said that there were no things there. But what happened with me, I decided to go through my embroidery collection, and I brought it out. Here it is, y'all, in this big giant bag. And so remember, I was telling you, I remembered I had those pillowcases. Well, here they are. I bought these back in 2017, never out the pack. Okay, now the reason why I went, well, I was going to be nosy, but reason number 2 why I went to Joann, remember I was telling you about my mother's late friend leaving me or her son giving me her embroidery stuff? Well, these 2 were mine. And as you can see, mine is a mess, but these 2 were my embroidery cases. And these are well over 30 years old. I bought these back in probably the 80s. Because I started embroidering in the mid 80s. So, and that's when I bought those. Well, here are the 3 that my mother's friend left, and I don't know where this came from, so I got to throw that away. So my mother's friend left these 3, and she labeled all of hers. You can see the numbers. She put the numbers, so when she wrapped hers up, she didn't do like me and just put them around the spool and leave them like that. She put the color number. I guess so if she needed to replace it, she would be able to. So that's how I know hers from mine, okay? Because hers is nice and neat. Ooh, and I was ready to say she got some extra spools in there. Okay, and then she had this little one. Okay, but what I found was, and I went to get more spools because I said that there was some that needed spooling. Oh, I have some extra spools. Ooh, thank you, God. Because when I went to get spools today, that's something they've cleared out of there. And I bought some spools the other day, but I bought that small package of 28. They had those big giant packages of the paper spools. The ones I bought were the hardback spools, and I bought them just because they were 40% off. But but they had the big paper spool packages, and of course they were all gone. But look, y'all, I just found a few at least right here in this. And then I have some spools that are just about empty. I'm gonna clear these spools and put them in with the blank ones. Okay, so that's a job for me. Let's see if I have some spools in here. Probably not in my other one. Nope, no spools in this one. Okay, so but what made me go back was because I found, first of all, I knew she had some extra thread. This is number one. This is her good thread that she had. So she put that in its own bag. So this needs spooling. And then I messed around and found this, y'all. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a mess. Y'all, she has so much embroidery thread. Some are on spools, but for the most part, most of them are new. And she loaded them up. And here they are. And she wrote the numbers on some of these bags. And they haven't been spooled up, but she did organize it. That is a lot, y'all. So I was like, let me get my butt right back to Joann and get out. I was like, I'm gonna get as many of those things of spools as I can. None. They didn't even have the ring spools. None. So hopefully I can find some spools online. I'm gonna have to pay for some because I'm gonna have to get the ones in the plastic bags. I am not gonna spool up because she marked them and put the color and everything. So I'm gonna leave those because I'll probably never get to them in life. Okay, that's number one. But all those loose ones, I'm gonna get those spooled. So hopefully Walmart either has spools or if anything, I can find them online. Okay, so that was the reason for that. Then I found an extra thing here, and so I'm gonna use this for my other embroidery stuff. So what I bought at Joann's, but first of all, so all the hoops, these were in the bag, but I am gonna put them back in the bag. So these are all my hoops, and those two I bought at Joann for $1 the other day. I didn't even need them, but there they are with the stash. I don't need to buy any more. And then she left this, and this came from hers. This is some sort of rubber, and I think you can put this in between the spool if it starts getting loose. I usually use like thin cheesecloth for mine. Either I'll cut some cloth, or sometimes I'll put like a paper towel. And if my spool starts getting real loose and it won't tighten as tight with my fabric, this is in the past. I would always stick some paper in there, and that would make it get drum tight, because I like a drum tight spool when I'm doing embroidery. So I'll figure this out, and if this doesn't work, I'll just toss this. Okay, the other thing I purchased, I got some of the stamp-ons the other day, and I do have one duplicate in there. I went through all the iron-ons, and I remember some of the ones I had, but there was one I did duplicate, and it was a flower, so and this is it right here. That's the only one I bought another one of, but the rest of them are not duplicates. I went through every one, and I got the ones that I wanted. So this one might go on the apron because it's herbs. It's the herb thing, so I can iron that on the apron and make it a herb type apron. So I bought these, so these will go into this thing. Okay, and like I said, today was about greed and hoard. I went kind of big ticket because they still had a lot of big tickets. Hold on, y'all. Whew. They still had a lot of big ticket items there. Now this is from the other day, so I'm gonna unload this bag, and everything hopefully will fit into that little tub. If not, I do have one other tub that I can use that's a little bigger. But I'm hoping everything will fit into this tub right here. Okay, so this is what I purchased today. Oops, where's that back scratcher? I dropped something out of the bag. It still can't reach it. Okay. Come on. Okay, I got it. Well, I may as well start with that. Oops. Okay, we're still going. The phone just fell over, y'all. For no reason whatsoever. I must have a ghost. Ooh, I'm glad that didn't cut off, because I would have had to start this video over. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Okay, it is still going. Good. Okay, and we've been on here 15 minutes, so I need to speed it up. Okay, so I did get a few big ticket items on today. Not big ticket, but things that I normally would not have gotten because they cost a lot. But like I said, like the hot lights and stuff, they were already 25% off. And since they decided to either stick it to the man, or the great American people decided to be nice and let them leave the prices that they've already had, which were pretty good deals, I was like, let me up my light game. So I ended up buying a magnifying light, because remember, you know, I got the flipping clips for the glasses. I was like, well, I'm still going to be farsighted when I'm doing stuff, so I got this. So this can be run by battery or by plug. So I went on and got this, and this was under 20. It was $19.99 total after I got the 25% off. So I said that wasn't bad for something like that. And it's going to come in handy, and it'll last me for the rest of my life. Hopefully that bulb won't go out. Okay. I did decide, I said, okay, I already knew how much the embroidery stuff was, and they actually took that's 40% off. So I went on and got the flour sack towels. I got those. And then I ended up getting a pillowcase. And like I said, it was just for greed and hoard. And wait a minute, I should have got the pillowcase because this one was exact to that one. But I went on and got it. I didn't get any of the pre-printed. They had pre-printed pillowcases, but they cost more. But they were still 40% off. But I wasn't willing to pay like an extra $6 for something that was pre-printed when I have my own stamps. I like to choose my own. So I'll do the flower stamps, you know, on my pillowcases. So I got that. So I'm going to stick that right into the other one. And then I went on and got the flour sack. And then you all know I have the apron. Let me get that out. I can put this in the embroidery bag. And I brought that out too so that I can unpack what I've gotten. Now this was for crochet. I saw these. This was the last one. It's actually a tail end weaver. So if you're weaving in your ends with crochet, this will weave it for you. You just throw your yarn in there. And I think that's really nice. So I went on and got that. So I'm throwing this in my crochet bag, okay? I decided to get, I said I'm getting every notion that there is for embroidery. So they had a needle puller there. And this was the last one. So I got that. I bought another one of those tracing pens, which is, it's a transfer pen. And when you wash, like for instance, if some of the ink doesn't go on or if it fades, you can use this and draw it in, or you can do your own transfer if you know how to draw. So I bought that, another one of those, because I bought another one. I went on, this is a magnetic needle case. I went on and got this too because, you know, I have so many needles. So I went on and got that. Like I said, every notion that I saw. And remember this book at the Bloomfield Joann's, I looked at this book and it was like $13 there at the liquidation store, rather. It wasn't even Joann's at the time. It was $13. Well, this was regularly marked at $10.99, the exact same book. It was marked at $10.99 and it was 25% off. I paid like $7 for this book, so I went on and got it. Then there was a yellow dot book of embroidery, 100 essential embroidery stitches. I went back to the books. And so I went on and got this, and this ended up costing, I think it was like $9.99 when it was over with, and the regular price wasn't on there, but it was a yellow dot. So I got that. So I said that'll work. I'm going to just set it up on the other one. And then I got this. This is my cheater. it's a embroiderer, what's it called? Let me see. Embroidery stitching tool. So if you don't feel like sewing with your hand, you can load the tool up and embroider with that. I'd rather not do it, but let's say later down the pike, shoot, I'm 60. I might turn 70 and can no longer use my hands. And y'all done seen the death grip. So in case I'm having a bad day or the death grip gets worse, I'll have this and I can still work, you know, on embroidery later. Half of this stuff will never be open. And last but not least, from today's purchases, I purchased this light. And this was like $6. Joann's is out of bags, so I would suggest you take your own bags, okay? As you can see, the bag says thank you is a grocery bag, so they are out of bags. So I saved my last bags that I got the other day. So I'm assuming that they hauled the bags out of there, okay? So I kept my bags from yesterday. In fact, oh, this one's not even a bag. They must have been, no, they weren't out of bags because the day before yesterday, I got a Joann bag. So here it is, okay, and I saved it. So I'm going to put it in with the embroidery stuff so it doesn't accidentally get thrown away. So as you can see, I have that extra one. And then this is the kitchen towel, so I'll put that with the pillowcases. And then that butterfly thing, all this stuff can go in this. Even my indoor shade clips, that little seam ripper. Oh, the spools. So this will go in there. So at least I ended up getting 28. They had lots of these that day, lots of them. And then they had the big pack of the paper spools on top of it. So I'm going to use these for Mama's friends, her friend, the one who, the good embroidery thread that she had in that plastic bag. I'm going to use this for that because she took the time to, you know, separate it. It was special to her, so I'm going to make sure it's special to me. And then let me put this in here. And then all the needles that I bought. I got embroidery needles. I bought darning needles. I bought this other needle case. I bought 2 darning needles. And these are going, and I'm going to keep my receipt too because it's the last of the Joann stuff. I've got a darning needle in here, and then I have darning needles in this thing too. So I don't need to even use these. These will just be extra. And those will be put away. And once I start embroidering, and then my hoop is in the other room. But yeah, I went on and got this. This will be my little travel. I'm not going to put it on the keychain, but it'll be my little travel light. And so I'll just have it probably in the car. But anyway, it ended up being like $6. So I went on and got it. So I'm going to leave this out because I am going to put that in the car. Okay, so that was it for today. So that's the presentation. So that is the end of me and Joann's. After I saw that big switch, and the lady told me today, she said, you were smart. She told me, she's like, I can guarantee you, we will not be staying open until May. She said, look at, and you know, I'm saying this is what she told me, so don't quote me on it, but this is what I was told. And so far, anything I've ever been told by a Joann employee or whatever has turned out to be the truth, okay? And so she told me, she's like, if we last till mid-March, I'll be surprised. She said they're already cutting staff, which I already knew. I told her, yeah, I saw it was just 3 of y'all today. And she said everybody else kaput. She said the stock people, all that. So I don't know what they're doing, but she said everything took place. She was like, and they're being a-holes. That's what she told me. But she said, I don't think we're going to be here until May. She's like, it can happen any day. She's like, they can decide we're going to close up today. And she said a lot of the stuff is available online. And she said that's where a lot of the stock has gone. So people can order online. And you know, one while there, they were offering the free shipping, but they probably aren't now. So that's their way of getting extra money. They got you that way. And so people find it, especially invalids and whatnot, who can't get out, they find it more convenient to order through shipping. And so that's what these stores, the ones that were going to stay open and the other ones, the liquidation stores, when that stuff emptied out, all the good stuff the following day, they sent it right to the warehouse. And so that's what they're doing now. So the warehouse will remain stocked for a while, but these stores are going to be shut down real soon. So get busy, y'all. Another thing, I'm the queen of frog. I went through the Noro book last night, and y'all know that I love the granny square. I can't get enough of it. And then y'all know oh no, wait, yeah, I was telling y'all. That blanket that I'm giving to my cousin who's suffering, who's ailing. So that's granny square. So I have no granny square blankets. Well, I got one, and it's in the other room. But anyway, I love the granny square, and I went through this Noro book, and what do I find on page 22? The big granny square. Now this was made with the Ito yarn, so the color runs are not as long as with the Haru Ito, which is what I have. But I said, I've got to do this, the big granny square, because all it calls for is 5 balls. I actually have 8 balls, so mine's going to be a lot bigger. And I thought this was absolutely beautiful because the Noro look, it can't be beat. And it's a thicker yarn too. So I'm going to start it. I'm a frog. What I have done thus far for the millionth time, I frogged this thing at least 7 or 8 times. And it has held up perfectly. It looks just as new as if it just came off the ball. So it's very good. Noro, know that you can frog Noro and you don't have to worry about the yarn getting raspy or messed up. But I really like this. So my colorways, although they're longer, they're still going to, as the blanket gets bigger, they're going to shorten up. And I won't have this exact same effect, but it'll be similar. And then all the colors will be there, and they're going to be, I think, beautiful. And I'm still going to border it with the black. I wish I had enough of that black so that every 10 rows or 20 rows, I might have, well, no, I was going to say then I could run the black in between, like do 10 rows, then a row of black, 10 rows, a row of black. But I'm scared I might run out of that black before I could finish up. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave it, and then I'll just border it with the black and then use that black to make another item with what's left over. But, oh, I thought that was beautiful. Okay, so look for my granny square coming up because I'll be starting that today. Okay, now to the story within a story. We're already at 30 minutes, so this won't be long. I'm going to just keep it straight and to the point. Okay, the story I will be telling this Sunday will be about my near-death experience. And I'm glad I'm getting the health stuff out of the way because really, I discuss my health, but I try not to go too deep into it and whatnot. But, my story is one. I know it will help others. So I'll start the pre-story by telling you, I have autoimmune disease so far. And I'm quite sure out of all you who have joined this channel, you either know someone, have a relative, or you yourself may have autoimmune disease. You could be diagnosed with one, but just know, when you have one, you have them all. An autoimmune disease gets its name based on the area of the body it attacks. For instance, if your pancreas is attacked, you have the autoimmune disease of diabetes. If your eyes are attacked, you have the autoimmune disease of either macular degeneration, or you could get optic neuritis, which is what I ended up with. If your skin is attacked, you could get vitiligo, or you could have psoriasis. Then there's alopecia. Okay, so I have numerous autoimmune diseases, and it's all catastrophic from an injury that I sustained. And believe it or not, it was a crochet-related injury. I used to have a bad habit. When I would work on something, I just throw my project right on the floor and then go do whatever I'm going to do, come back and start back working on it. Instead of setting it on the couch or using a bag, that's why I use a bag now, or I use some type of basket where I keep my crocheting when I'm working on it. This broke me. Anyway, I was working on a project with a teeny tiny size 0 hook. It might have been a doily. I can't remember what the project was exactly. But anyway, I threw it on the ground. I ended up getting a ding. Remember, this was back in 2001 where AOL was out. And you remember it would say, "You've got mail." I had my computer on. I was in college at the time, and that's another story. I did not go to college until the age of 38. Okay, that was my first time going. That's another story. We won't even get into it. But this was during the time I lived in Oklahoma and was in college. And I was attending, at that time, UCO. Before then, in Edmond. But I had transferred from Langston University, which was a HBCU that my uncle was a professor at. And he just passed away 3 months ago. But anyway, I was in college, and so school was set to start that day. Classes were set to start that day, and I had all evening classes, and I was working on my crocheting. And then when I got the mail, the email, and it said, "You got mail," I jumped up and I went making a 100-yard dash to the computer. And when I came back, the hook, somehow or another, it had landed. When I threw everything down, it had landed right side up with the hook pointing upwards, it was freak, because usually a hook is going to either lay flat or lay down, but it stuck out of the project up, and then the floor in between held it right there in that spot. My foot came down on that hook, and it got the heel and the middle of my foot, because the hook bent and it went up in my foot. And so the moment of impact, number one, I fell to the ground. And number two, thank God I didn't have to go to the bathroom, because that would have been the end of that, okay? And then number three, I happened to fall right by the wall, and I lived right next door to my landlords, because I was renting off campus. I rented an apartment, and a lot of college students rented there, and the landlords, the owners of the building, lived there, and I was their next door neighbor. And I fell right next to that wall, and I banged on that wall. I said, I'm hurt, come help me. So my landlord called 911. I was transplanted. Yeah, I was, okay. Ooh, I was transported by EMS to the hospital. Had no health insurance, so Anyway, they took me to Edmond Regional Medical Center. I had no health insurance. But when I got there, they offered a tetanus shot. I didn't want that. I was on crutches. So my uncle came, and he rented the crutches for me, because they said, "You're going to be on crutches for a while." They did do an x-ray, and the x-ray, they couldn't pull the hook out. Actually, they had to leave that thing dangling in my foot. But they did give me a numbing shot to where I wouldn't feel the pain, because not only did it hurt, my whole body it felt crackly, okay? And so anyway, they were able to, get me numbed up, but I still had the crackly feeling. Okay, so I was on crutches. After the x-ray, it showed that the hook was in there, but they saw that it wasn't sitting, it hadn't hooked around a nerve. And so they were able to carefully get it out. And I told them, I want to keep the hook, because they were going to throw it away. I was like, give me that. I was like, because this is a battle scar, or what you call it, a badge, a badge of honor or whatever, from a battle scar or whatever from crocheting. I was like, let me keep it, and I'm glad that I did. Okay, so we're gonna skip. I got through the injury, didn't go to school the first 2 days because I was on crutches, but I got through the injury and everything, and about 2 weeks later, I wasn't feeling the best, but I was super stressed, but I was never a sickly person. Growing up and stuff, well, I was sickly as a kid, and then when I was younger, I had endometriosis, and I didn't know that was autoimmune. So my doctor, when I did get diagnosed with autoimmune disease, he told me I had it way back then from a teen. I just didn't know it. And that's why my reproductive system was attacked. I had endometriosis. I had adhesions, you name it, couldn't bear children, had to have a hysterectomy at the age of 29 total. So I went through menopause at 29. And actually, my mother was younger back then. And when she went through her menopause, when she was in her 50s, by then I was in my 30s. And I told her everything there was to know about a hot flash. Because when she started having them, I was like, "You're going through menopause." And she was like, my mother was like, "This just feels so unnatural." I'm supposed to be telling you about menopause. You're not supposed to be. I was like, I know, but thank God I'm here to tell you. But anyway, so my autoimmune disease, know that when you have one, you have them all. That's what my doctor told me. He said anything can attack at any time and wherever it attacks. And you know that stress is the biggest enemy to autoimmune disease. So I had to learn how to live a stress-free life. And I was under severe stress during the college years. So it took me some time. It's been over 20 years now, but I've learned to live as stress-free as possible. And whenever I get stressed out about something, I can forget it. And then anytime I suffer an injury, my last injury was to my leg, it spurs an attack. It sends my autoimmune system awry. And I've been on immune suppressants and whatnot, and that does help. Okay, and steroids, of course. So I've been diagnosed with several. My first autoimmune disease I was diagnosed with, first they said I had fibromyalgia, but I already knew I didn't have that. But the first was endometriosis, but at that time I didn't know I had it. Okay, and then I lost my hair. That was the first thing that happened when I got sick from this crochet hook injury. I wasn't feeling well and I was losing, hair. And so I didn't know what was going on. And I noticed I would be real tired. I would be fatigued. I just didn't feel right. But I made it through that semester. Okay, we got through with the semester. The Christmas break started. It was Christmas Day, I'll never forget. I woke up and remember that crackly feeling when I got the injury I was telling you about? My whole body was crickle and crackling. And I knew at that point something was not right, and it had something to do with that injury because that had happened in August and this was December. When I tell you I went down and I didn't have no insurance, and don't let them hospitals tell you we'll treat you anyway if you're in what they call it, indigenous or whatever. It's a name they use for it when you don't have insurance. They would put me in a back room and wouldn't do nothing. And so I called my mother. I was like, I need help. I was like, I'm sick, because things went downhill fast. When I woke up crackling, it was like from that day forward, that was the end. And then I started having stomach problems. It felt like a lump was in my throat. And it was like I couldn't get any help. I was down. I was walking like this, y'all. It turned out I had a hiatal hernia. And how that came about, I guess it was because the inflammation was taking over my body and it caused my stomach, because that's what a hiatal hernia is when part of your stomach comes up into your esophagus and diaphragm, and it hurts. Ooh, a hiatal hernia will kick you arse, okay? Oh, and I couldn't even walk. I couldn't crochet. So that's how bad it was. I couldn't even move. So I was like this. My mother had to fly to Oklahoma, and she flew to Oklahoma, and that's when I had to drop out of college and had to come back to Michigan, and was able to get insured through the state of Michigan. But so that's the short story to that. But anyway, I kept the hook, and I'm gonna show it to you. But anyway, even to this day, if I'm about to have any type of autoimmune attack, my body starts crackling. And so I'm skipping ahead, but how I got diagnosed, the first thing I was diagnosed with was lupus, because it was attacking whatever lupus attacks your skin and your hair, and I had the SLE lupus, which is systemic something. I forgot. That was the first thing I was diagnosed with lupus. So they treated that with Plaquenil. So for 2 years, that's what I thought I had, lupus. And so I still kept telling the doctors it's something to do with that crochet hook injury, because these things weren't happening before then. It wasn't until I got a newer progressive doctor, because I had one of them old fossil doctors, and they just, they didn't listen. And that was the worst part about being sick. No one listened. And so when I finally got the right type of doctor, because I eventually got on Social Security and I got approved for Medicare and everything, so I was able to get some better doctors instead of the Medicaid ones, and they listened. And I got this younger doctor who was progressive. He was like, no, he's like, once you have one autoimmune disease, you have them all. And then he told me an injury, severe stress, and it was something else. He said that can spur an autoimmune attack. He said, and you had the perfect recipe. It was like a mixing pot. He was like, you were under severe stress, you suffered an injury. He said, and that got you going. And so I ended up diagnosed with the lupus. Then one day I woke up and my legs were numb. First of all, now I was diagnosed with the lupus in early 2002. Then they diagnosed me with the hiatal hernia. So then I ended up getting surgery for that. And that was in 2002. Then I ended up, after that, life went on. Then in 2004, I started getting that crackly feeling again. And I said, uh-oh, something's finna happen. Oh, by then I knew. Whenever my body did that, I knew something was getting ready to happen. All of a sudden, I woke up one day, my legs were numb. So I went to my regular doctor, and he said, I'm gonna send you to a neurologist, because also my ears were ringing. My left ear was ringing, and then I had the numbness. He sent me to the neurologist. Okay, get to the neurologist. The neurologist ordered an MRI of the ear and the brain. Came back, and the neurologist says to me, no. He said, no. He ordered the MRI of the ear and the brain, and then I was scheduled to go back. Y'all, I get this phone call 2 days before that appointment. And of course, I had to wait like a month, and by then I'm flaring again, okay? I had the numbness, the tingling, all kind of mess was happening. And it wasn't lupus, okay? Because I'm taking the lupus medicine and nothing was happening. I get a call 2 days before the appointment, and they said that the doctor was dead. I'm like, he died? And this one, he wasn't old either. He was like maybe in his late 40s, and he was good looking too. Woo, that man looked good. Killed it. Oops. Deleted himself. I forgot, you can't say that on YouTube. Deleted himself, y'all, because his wife left him. I was like, Lord. So I had to start over. I had to go back to my regular doctor, and in the meantime, I'm using a walker because I couldn't walk hardly because of my legs. He had to refer me to someone else. Get to that doctor, and he got the records from the doctor who was deceased. And so it took me like another month. It might even been 2 months, because by then we had gone from winter to late spring. It was nice and warm. He looked over my results during the appointment. He said, I'm looking at your result. He said, your ear is fine. He said, but how long have you had MS? I was like, MS? I was like, I don't have MS. I have lupus. He said, no. He's like, here's a plaque here, 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 here. I'm like, oh my God. That's why my legs were numb. I was having an acute MS attack. So there comes that diagnosis. Then I ended up losing hearing in the ear, and I ended up getting a plaque on that same ear where that was ringing. That didn't show up at first. I ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks. So here comes the MS diagnosis. Then later I got diagnosed with vitiligo, and thank God it's not the type that's all over you, so I don't look like with the spots and stuff like that. But I have it like on my scalp where my hair used to be. That's where it developed. So let it stay, okay? Thank God for the wig, okay? But anyway, so let's see. I have vitiligo. I have lupus still, but it hasn't attacked anymore. I have MS. Then, okay, once they started treating the MS, you got your steroids and then your maintenance meds for the MS. So after they started treating that, all of a sudden, in 2009, I woke up one day, crackly. I'm like, uh-oh. I said, Mom, I'm about to have an attack. By then, my mom and I had become roommates, and we had this luxurious apartment overlooking the lake. Oh my God, it was beautiful. And my mother, she had rented her house out like for extra income, and we decided to pool our income. This was in 2009. And so we living on the lake, living good, okay? I woke up one morning out the blue. I wasn't stressed at all, but I woke up and I'm crackling, and I said, Mom, something's about to happen. So she was like, well, we'll wait and see. I was like, I'm probably going to have an MS attack or something. And so anyway, a few weeks later, I woke up one morning, went to the bathroom, and I know this is TMI, but it was nothing but blood. I'm like, ugh. Went to the hospital. My mother, because I was like, well, Mom, I'm bleeding. I was like, and blah, blah, blah. She was like, you going to the hospital. You shouldn't be bleeding. And so from the rectum. So I get to the hospital. I was so violated, y'all. I got violated. I got violated. I got violated. They put so many things up my butthole. Anyway, they determined I was bleeding from the rectum. So they were like, we got to check you for colon cancer and this. I had never had a colonoscopy. And by then I was only like 42 or somewhere around. I was in my early 40s. So they kept me in the hospital, and I was surprised that they did, because I thought they were going to just send me home. They were like, no, we got to keep you. You've lost too much blood, blah, 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 blah. So I was in the hospital for a week, and while I was there, they did a colonoscopy, they did x-rays, they did everything. Turned out I did not have colon cancer, but I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. So that was the next autoimmune disease. I was like, wow. So they ended up putting me on this medication called Asacol. It was a pill that I took once a day at night. And it was this cream that you had to put. It was like an enema. It was called mesalamine. And then, I never showed y'all the crochet hook. This is the actual crochet hook that I stepped on. This is it, y'all. Here it is. And it looks like we're going to hit an hour because we're at 45 minutes. And I am winding down. And remember, this is the pre-story. So the ulcerative colitis diagnosis is what gets us to the story I will be telling about the near-death experience. So here it is. Now, I'm going to put this back up because I don't want it to fall and I don't want to step on it again. But wait, let's put it back in frame. I want y'all to get a good look at this. So when the hook went in my foot, it bent here. I'm going to explain it to you. Where's my little... We'll use this. Okay, it bent in my foot, but the hook actually did not stop until it got to the middle part. So that's how far it went down. It went down to this. But so think of all that going through the foot. And to this day, my foot still bothers me. If it's like going to rain, I can tell you that it's going to rain, because my foot will start throbbing right in the spot where I stepped on that hook. And my doctor did the new progressive one. He listened to me and he told me, he was like, that injury, he's like, you stepping on that crochet hook is what happened. What caused that. Okay, so now let me back up a little bit, because there's one part I forgot to tell you. There used to be a show on Discovery Health. Remember that channel? It's now the Oprah Winfrey Network. And the show was called Mystery Diagnosis. Back in 2006, they had a casting call. And it was a casting call for people with autoimmune disease. And they said, in one paragraph or less, I did it. Don't ask me how. But they said, tell your story from start to finish in one paragraph or less for me. I put there, I said, I stepped on a crochet hook. It punctured my foot. I was diagnosed with several autoimmune diseases. And it was a result of that injury. The end. I'm like, they not going to call me or whatever. It was Thanksgiving morning of 2006. My phone rang. I thought it was my mother calling, because I was supposed to be getting over there for, because we were going to my late brother's house for Thanksgiving dinner. And that's another story about the death of my late and only brother in 2015. Oh, Lord. There's so many stories I have to share about experiences. But anyway, we were supposed to go over there. So anyway, I thought it was my mother calling. So I answered the phone. And it was the people from True Entertainment. They were like, this is True Entertainment calling on Thanksgiving Day. And they were like, happy holidays. They were like, we read your casting call story. They said, we are coming to, they said, we're coming to Canada to feature a story, our lead story, which is 30 minutes. And they said, we want you to be our anchor story, because we're going to be in Windsor, Canada. And Windsor, Canada is only like 15 minutes away from me. I could be to the tunnel in 15 minutes from my city. They said, we'll come to your city and film 2 days with you, and then the rest of the week will be spent in Windsor filming our head story, and you will be the anchor story. And then their middle story was always from someone in their state of New York. So they traveled for the head lead story and the anchor. So they asked me to appear on the show, and I did. So my late mother, my sister, my late brother, My nieces and nephews who were little tykes then, they're all grown up now. This was in 2000. We filmed in February 2007. We all appeared on Mystery Diagnosis telling my story. It's episode 306 and it's called The Boy Who Could Not Breathe. They aired that story until they got rid of Discovery Health, and then Oprah, the OWN network, aired that show, Mystery Diagnosis. And I need to check to see if Discovery Plus, because I do have Discovery Plus, I need to see if they're carrying the show. But that's the episode. You can pull it up online. You'll see my name there and everything because it gives a synopsis. It's in the IMDb and all that. And it's in, anything that features. If you pull up Mystery Diagnosis and pull up episode list or whatever, and it tells about, but I know it's in the IMDb and all that. So anyway, they came and did that, and they were here for over 2 days. My doctors also appeared. My neurologist, my ophthalmologist appeared, and it was like 3 of my doctors that appeared on the show, and that was really fun to do. And when I tell you listen, I don't complain about how much money actors and actresses make. When they put them hot lights over your head, and believe me, you are surrounded by these hot lights. I was sweating. They had to keep cutting because they had to keep getting the makeup. My makeup kept smearing. And so they kept having to pat me down and powder me down because the lights were just so hot. They just melted the makeup. And of course, it was causing MS symptoms to come. I wish y'all could see that show, but I aired worldwide. And yes, I was noticed in public, I would say, for the first 8 or 9 years. My sister used to get spotted more than I did. But I would get spotted, like if I went to the grocery store, lots of times if I went out of town, I would be in a different state or whatever. People would spot me and say, I've seen you somewhere. And they'd be like, were you ever on TV? And yeah, I was. And then I'd tell them, Mystery Diagnosis, that's where I seen you. Then I ended up with this big fan club. In fact, to this day, I have a huge following on Facebook of people who saw me on Mystery Diagnosis and befriended me on Facebook, because I joined Facebook in 2009. And as soon as I joined, all these folks were requesting me as a friend. I'm like, where are these folks coming from? And a lot of them was like, I saw you on Mystery Diagnosis, and when I saw your name, I just had to get you. So I have a cult following on Facebook, okay? So anyway, and a lot of them are fellow MSers or their fellow friends with autoimmune disease. So we ended up starting our own page, but then we're all friends on Facebook too. I've met quite a few of them. A lot of them have passed on, unfortunately, that type of thing. But it's been a blast over these past 20 years. And when I got sick, yeah, I have all my childhood friends and stuff, but all my intermediate friends, so to speak, fair weather friends, I lost all my friends. And so other than people I grew up with and relatives and things like that, I had to establish myself friend-wise. All my other friends, it's like goodbye. I've made new friends, and most of my friends now are friends online. A lot I have met and whatnot, and we've became good friends and whatnot. So it's been a good thing, and whatnot. And I've helped others. When that show aired worldwide, it helped a lot of people. It helped a lot. And like my late aunt told me, she was like, you don't know it, but you made a contribution to society. Oh, no, she said, you made a contribution to humanity by appearing on that show. Because at first I was like, did I do the right thing doing that? And when my aunt told me that, I was like, I never thought of it that way, making a contribution to humanity, So I think I'm even doing it now because I'm still telling my story, and YouTube is worldwide, So anyway, so I continue on. Okay, so to wrap this up, I was diagnosed with UC, and then later, a couple of years later, I ended up diagnosed with Crohn's on top of UC. So I have Crohn's I no longer have UC because my colon was removed. But I still have Crohn's, because Crohn's affect the upper. But I've never had any symptoms of that. And I'm knocking on plastic, wood, and everything else. But what happened was when they put me on the Asacol and mesalamine for the UC, that calmed it right on down. The bleeding stopped. I never had a problem with it. I was like, doctor, are you sure I have it? And he was like, well, the medicine is what's controlling it. I was mild because I'm seeing these commercials of people rushing to the bathroom, and I never had those issues. I went on about life as if life was fine until 2018. Let me tell you, I suffered, and I'm winding up. I suffered another injury. I was taking care of my late mother. She had a stroke in 2013. That's another story. And she ended up being totally bedridden because the hospital didn't believe she had had a stroke. I knew she had had one because my father had died from a stroke years before, and I knew the symptoms and the signs. They didn't believe me. They didn't believe my mother. But I found, you know what, I'm getting into that story. Let me stop. That will be another story, okay? Just know, I was taking care of my mother from 2014 because she spent a year in a nursing home, and I had to, it was like rescuing her because they traffic you to nursing homes. But anyway, I got her home in 2014, and for 7 years, up until she died, I was her caregiver. And so how I made it through, I don't know, but I made it. God helped me, you know. So anyway, I dropped my mother because she had to be transported to dialysis, and I went to dialysis with her every session. And so we had a ramp because my old home, my first home, had 3 steps that you had to come up to get into my home. And so we had a ramp there. One day I dropped the ramp on my leg and it broke the skin. And I really didn't think nothing of it other than it hurt and I had a big bruise. Let me tell you, another Christmas Day event again. That happened in August. It hurt initially. I had a bruise. It healed up. Everything was fine. Woke up on Christmas Day of 2018 and my leg, the bruise had come back and I had black and bruised streaks going all the way up to my thigh. And I was like, uh-oh. Had to go to the hospital on Christmas. Went to the hospital. And the doctor told me, he said, when that ramp fell on your leg, he said, that was the kiss of death. He said, you know how many feet and all the dirt and grime and everything that's been on that ramp and it fell on you? He's like, every germ known to man. He's like, you got the kiss of death. I was like, doctor, what do I do? He said, I'm going to admit you to the hospital. He's like, because of this infection that you have. So I was like, I can't be admitted. I'm my mother's caregiver. My sister's there. She has to spend Christmas with her family. I was like, what else can I do? So he's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to run a huge course of antibiotics. He said, and then I'm going to give you a prescription for an antibiotic. He was like, and you have to take it. He was like, and I'll let you go home. He said, but you can't go anywhere. He's like, stay in. And so he gave me an antibiotic called clindamycin. Clindamycin. I didn't know it, and apparently he didn't know it. If you have any type, and this is for any of you who have any type of IBD, which is irritable bowel disease, or IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, never take the antibiotic clindamycin. And the reason why is because it causes C. diff. I took the full course of that clindamycin, and yes, it cleared up the infection. I was fine, and I didn't have any attacks or anything. And so I was like, knock on wood, thank God for that. But 2 weeks after I finished that dose, I started feeling funny and I couldn't go to the bathroom. That was the problem. And so at that time, my mother had went to the hospital. I forgot something had happened. And she had went to the hospital. And so while she was in the hospital, I was like, I'm going to just go to the hospital because I should be able to go to the bathroom. I went to the hospital. And they did, once again, the finger. They did all that stuff. And they were like, you're inflamed. And so they were thinking maybe I was having a UC attack or whatever. And so they got a stool to sample. And it came back positive for C. diff. A severe case. They admitted me to the hospital. So I was in isolation. I couldn't be by my mother. So my sister, I told her, you're going to have to take care of her because when they discharge her, she'll probably get out before I do. And that's what happened. I was in that hospital for a month. That C. diff was so bad, it was horrible, because when they started the antibiotic vancomycin, and it turns out I couldn't take it. I wasn't allergic to it, but it didn't agree with me, and it made it worse. I finally ended up on some other medicine that finally helped, and I can't even remember the name of it. All I know is I was in that hospital a month. Shit. That's all I can say. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so anyway, I got out the hospital. They got that cleared up. But then it made my UC and the Crohn's take off, because what happened was I ended up diagnosed with the Crohn's shortly thereafter. I ended up having to get another colonoscopy, and they said, like, you have Crohn's disease too. I was so inflamed, and it was just horrible. I never went back into remission at all, ever. And so around 2019, they started talking ostomy. I was like, I don't want that, And so I didn't know much about it. I knew a little about it, but I didn't know much about it. I was like, no, I don't want that. And so what happened was, we'll wind it down because we're at an hour. What happened is, in 2020, my colon I started bleeding profusely, and this was in later 2019. So they were like, we're going to have to do emergency surgery. They said, we think that your colon may have burst. But as it turns out, I was real inflamed, and it was causing bleeding. But anyway, they put me on a course of steroids. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, because I went in the day before Thanksgiving. I was in there Thanksgiving, and I didn't get out until the day after Christmas. So I missed the holidays of 2020. My mother had passed in July of 2020. So this was right after she passed. But in 2019, they started talking ostomy, but everything went, I wasn't out of remission, but they got things stabilized. Okay, so 2021 was when things went awry. Right after my mother died, I went into a horrible, even worse of a flare that I was already in because of the stress of her death. And so anyway, I was in the hospital all that time. And so then I got released the day after Christmas, and they said, we're going to have to do surgery. We're going to have to do ostomy surgery. And so I resolved to that, started reading up on it, studied it and everything. So then, as it turns out, I went in for the surgery on the 6th of January, Insurrection Day, y'all. I missed it all. When people talk about it, okay, whatever. I was out of it that day, because that was surgery day. Okay, went in for the ostomy surgery. By then, I had learned everything about it. And my biggest fear was the smell, okay? Because I always, because the stigma is still there, but it does not smell, because they have this deodorant called M9. You put 1 drop in your bag. In fact, it's something, if I give it to people who don't have ostomies, I tell them, put 1 drop in your toilet before you go. It neutralizes any odor. And so if anybody has an ostomy, tell me, if you do. And you'll be able to confirm. But anyway, and if you have one and don't have the M9, get some, okay? It works. It doesn't smell or anything. My life, I can do anything I want to do with my little bag. And we name our stomas. I name my stoma Oklahoma, the volcano, okay? That's what I call it. Oops, and it just talked. Okay, I'm sorry. But anyway, so I get the surgery, and that's where the near-death experience took place 2 days after the surgery. Okay, so we'll pick up there. So actually, I did kind of good at an hour and 3 minutes, but I hope that this wasn't too long for you, but at least it brought you up to speed. So we'll pick up to the near-death experience. And this was after the surgery, when things went downhill after that. It wasn't during, it was after. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later, and may God bless you. And you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will see you on Sunday. I promise. I'm not coming back on unless something crazy happens. And I am definitely done with Joann's. They will probably be out of there by mid-March, according to what I was told by the lady today. So they're going to end before May. So time is of the essence. Get to buying if you have something that you need to get. And I feel that in my quest Remember I said that the other day and lost it and didn't know what to say? But in my quest for chess, I'll just say it that, I would say I hit checkmate. I didn't concentrate on crocheting. I concentrated on embroidery, and I think I did very well. I have enough embroidery stuff to last me for life, and I feel that I have enough crochet stuff to last me for life. Oh, and another thing, that starch, gone. I'm glad I got it the other day. There was no starch there. None whatsoever. So they got all that out of there because they had a lot. Remember all them boxes I was telling you about that was on top of the shelves? Gone. Okay, all that stuff was gone. So I know they shipped out as much as they could. There were boxes on the floor. It's not a hot mess in there, but it's going to be a hot mess. I say by the weekend, it's going to be bad. It's going to be just like the others by this weekend. So if you can get thee to White Lake, get there, because it's still the best out of all of them that I've seen thus far as the liquidation stores are concerned. And you still have a chance to get a lot of things. I mean, they had art supplies. I didn't look at all that other stuff. They had paints. You know, you might be into some other craft. They had a lot of sewing. I saw the body forms today. So those are like 40% off. They still too high. So nope. I didn't even bother with the tulle because that line was still wrapped around. They had all kind of stuff, your baskets, your notions. They still had quite a bit of that stuff. But each day, they're probably going to be packing up and shipping out. So things will be less and less. And then people are buying. And like I said, today, people's baskets weren't loaded up to the top. They were shopping like it was any other day, just like me. But for those who I spoke with, and I spoke to quite a few people, those who I spoke with, they were being specific. One lady, she said, I'm getting patterns. She was like, I've got everything else I need. The one lady, she was getting rid of her gift cards and she has some other coupons and stuff she needed to do. And she said, I'm buying up the knickknacks and whatnot. She was, getting stuff like that. I saw another lady. She was over there at the yarn. Getting yarn, and we talked, and she's like, I'm doing the yarn only. She was like, and I'm getting hooks. She's like, I want to get hooks, and I want to get yarn. So she was doing yarn only. So people were being specific today. They weren't just panic buying, and they may have already done it, just like me, when I've already done what I wanted to do. And I believe that we were winners. We shopped wisely, and we got what we wanted. I wasn't concentrating on a million things. That's what gets you into trouble, money-wise. Yes, I spent a lot, but when I look at what I saved probably 5 times more than what I spent, because this stuff was expensive, originally, and it adds up and whatnot. But I got quite a bit, enough to last me for life, and I already had enough yarn to last me for life. So other than me not hitting snake eyes with the spools on today, I got everything that I wanted. So I'm thankful, okay? So I will talk to you guys later, and may God bless you all. See you in the next one. See you Sunday. And that video will not be as long as this one, because the pre-story was, because I took you from 2002 or 2001 all the way up to 2021. So we will be beginning from 2021, with what all happened there, the near-death experience, and then that story will end. And then we'll move on to whatever's coming up next. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later, and may God bless you all. Bye-bye.